Hello and welcome to the Mind of a Renaissance Man. In this video we will talk about how men and women communicate differently. Romantic relationships often end due to miscommunication between the man and woman. It's not that either party didn't have good intentions. The problem is that they didn't adjust their communication enough to make it more effective. But having a better understanding about how men and women communicate will help to improve your romantic relationship. Due to socialization, male and female humans interact differently with each other. Competition is more important among males, while cooperation is more important among females. Boys on playgrounds often enjoy competitive activities such as King of the Mountain or tug of war. Meanwhile, socialization of girls is often based on who their best friends are, and how many secrets they've collected. In a sense, males' relationships with each other are vertical, while those among females are horizontal. This phenomenon even impacts how men and women communicate with each other. Studies show that as males age, their face-to-face communication eventually resembles two people sitting in the driver's and passenger's seats, in the front seats of a vehicle. Meanwhile, girls often sit or stand in a circle when communicating, which allows them to form a bond with each other. Women tend to prefer this face-to-face communication. We're all too familiar with the iconic scene of a husband who's just returned from work, and buries himself in the daily newspaper. His wife wants to talk to him about his day, but he'd rather enjoy the escapism that the newspaper provides. In this scenario, neither the man nor the woman is right or wrong. Instead, they're exhibiting the common communication style of men and women, in a particular situation. That brings us to the function of communication, for men and women. When men communicate, they tend to focus on the transfer of data. This includes facts, figures, and other objective information. On the other hand, a woman tends to use communication as a means of enhancing her relationship with the person she's communicating with. Some experts have described this phenomenon as the report versus rapport communication styles of men and women, respectively. This is particularly evident in the body language of women, when communicating with someone. They tend to lean forward when having a chat with a person, to indicate that they're listening intently. Also, a woman tends to provide feedback while the other person is talking, to indicate that she's listening to the speaker. She'll often use words such as, yes, right, and so on. While men also use these mannerisms when having a conversation, it's less common. Men tend to focus on exchanging objective data, such as sports scores, instructions for performing a task, and so on. So how can this information improve your communication with your sweetheart or spouse? By understanding how the opposite gender tends to communicate, and by using some of those methods yourself, you can prevent miscommunication and strengthen the relationship with your special someone. What seems to be a major argument between sweethearts and spouses is often the result of miscommunication. But by learning how to communicate more effectively with the opposite gender, you can prevent such situations that could even be fatal to the relationship. Now in this time we will talk about men and women communication differences. Tips to understand your partner better. She said or he said is a term that is commonly heard in the case of a rape. This term applies when there is hardly any factual evidence for the jury to decide. Both women and men think and process any kind of information differently from one another. This problem lies beyond the problem that none of them are probably telling the truth. A relationship which goes well beyond the he said or she said is what is called a successful relationship. Both women and men think differently when they have to solve problems. Though both of them can solve the problem well, the process through which they go varies from one another. Men consider the best solution to the problem as that which takes the least time and is also most efficient. On the other hand, women think that problem solving is an activity which involves people working together and coming to a conclusion. For a relationship to work better, one has to understand that the thought process of both go in different directions. Another major area where there is a difference between women and men is sensitivity. Compared to men, women do have a heightened sensitivity. This leads them to act emotionally than act rationally. The sensitivity of women lets her understand her feelings plus the feelings of others. Hence her reactions consider the feelings also above logic. Men take decisions based only on logic and do not consider feelings at all. This causes problems in a relationship as the woman thinks the man tried to hurt her feelings. Memory is another area where men and women vary. Men can remember locations and other details of an event while women can only remember the emotions attached to it. Unless they realize the difference in the memory of one another, they will have problems in their relationship. When their partner does not remember something, this causes frustration. He or she also gets angry as they think the other person is not able to recollect such vivid memories. Understanding the way each other's memory works will help in making the relationship much stronger than what it actually is at the moment. A relationship gets complicated as women and men differ in their style of communication. Men generally do not discuss things with their partner and are more introspective regarding their problems and deal internally with them. If they do intend on discussing a problem, it would have been after it had been given a lot of thought and also quite a bit of consideration. Women on the other hand discuss their problems with the men with the belief that it helps them understand each other better. Women tend to communicate to get to a solution of a problem. The she said or he said aspects must be understood in the area of communication to avoid disappointment and frustration. Understanding she said or he said issues and also being ready to get past them will help in reducing the difficulties in a relationship. Home should always be the one safe place that everyone has to express themselves freely. Often men are unaware of the transformation that women undergo in order to be more successful in the world. A woman who cries on the job isn't likely to be selected for promotions and big projects. The woman who manages the household like a team of employees isn't likely to have much of a household waiting for her when she returns from work after a while. One of the most positive and supportive roles a man can play in a woman's life is to understand that she needs the freedom to readjust into a strong and capable woman after her office work is done for the day. She needs someone to listen to her without judgment while she makes the transition, and she may need a simple but effective routine for dealing with the end of the day transition. She may not even be fully aware of what she needs because so many women are less aware of their transformation. Men are often given respect in the workplace without the personality transformations that women need to undergo. Men have the luxury of being who they are from the beginning of the day until the end of the day. The more a man learns about his partner's day and how much she has to put on a strong front, the more understanding he can be about the metamorphosis that occurs when she returns home at the end of the day. So why wouldn't you sit down with your partner and listen intently about how she is handling things at the office or how she is feeling when she first walks in the door at the end of the workday? Learning these things about your partner will help you to help her, which in effect is always helping yourself. Once the two of you can realize what her end-of-day needs are, that can help bring her back to her feminine side and her feminine desires and aspirations, then you can implement these fabulous types of comfort routines that help her to feel like she can return to her natural self without judgment or criticism. It is not always easy for a woman to leave the tough-as-nails environment and enter the home and be able to state her needs. She has to practice anywhere from 40 to 70 hours a week at being so tough and having little to no needs to be fulfilled that expecting her to be able to announce her needs when she walks in the door might be a little intense. That is why men can offer such support in this area. Sometimes if you just back off, follow her lead, ask simple questions that put the ball in her court, she can offer up her needs and expectations. Article source: http://esignearticles.com/1245242. Your end-of-day needs are important too. And it is perfectly acceptable to try to come up with a reasonable solution to what often turns out to be conflicting needs. In some cases, discovering the conflicting needs can eliminate some of the end-of-day tension that builds through the night and leads to horrific arguments and other graphic scenes. Coming up with reasonable compromises, supportive ideas, and non-judgmental methods of dealing with each other after the world has freed you both from obligation can be the one key to unlocking sexy nights that replace nights of anger and stress. Men and women are consistently going through societal changes. In many cases, societal changes impact our daily lives more than we know. Learning to live without the confines of societal expectations or associations can be very liberating while offering each half of the partnership a safer, less critical environment on the home front. Home is definitely the place for these types of relationships, as home is the one place where everyone gets a chance to feel safe and loved. Women who are in the position of maintaining their office persona throughout their home life are likely to become significantly unhappy, less attractive, and less feminine overall, while she deals with perpetual conflict over who she really is and how much of her womanly ways she had to abandon for the sake of her career. Fortunately, educated men can help a woman return to her sexy, feminine side within minutes of coming back home, provided they have the right information. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Until next time, this is the Mind of a Renaissance Man.